Hi, welcome to JohnsTarot. I have a little episode here for you. I am continuing to be on vacation. This episode is a little book report I did on Chris Bledsoe and on his book, The UFO of God. Chris is a very interesting guy, and I liked this book report I did because Bledsoe is coming up so often on the news right now and on the YouTube. And a lot of his predictions and the things that the lady talked to him are starting to come to light. So I think that's why it's important that I had this little book review. I believe there's a movie coming out too on his book, UFO of God. I hope so, because if it does, I'll be one of the first to see it. Mr. Bledsoe, if you're out there and you would like to be interviewed, contact John at JohnsTarot. So let's take a look at my little interview from 8/9/2024. Enjoy. I'll see you when I come back. Suspend your disbelief, your rational, analytic mind, just for a minute, just for the length of this podcast. What if all I am about to tell you is the truth? What if the information you will be provided is from a divine source? Just for this time, I am your Axis Mundi. Consider this podcast your channel, your second opinion. When I do a reading, something larger than myself is working through me. So ask what you wish. This is your channel, your doorway to the divine. Welcome to JohnsTarot. Welcome to you from wherever you may be. Welcome to you from Frankfurt.
Achtung, ich rufe noch einmal Stalingrad.
Hier ist Stalingrad. Hier ist die Front an der Wolga.
Welcome to you from Cresco, Nebraska.
I'm completely operational and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Welcome to you from Sydney, New South Wales.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Welcome to you from Sacramento, California.
You take the blue pill.
Whoops, I think I did that one already.
You wake up in your bed and
believe
whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Welcome to you from the city of Hamburg. And welcome to you from, let's get a new one up here. Let's add a new one. Welcome to you from Laguna Niguel, California.
I am not an atomic playboy, as one of my critics labeled me, exploding these bombs to satisfy my personal whim.
Welcome to you from wherever you are in the world today. I'm here for doing JohnsTarot, another episode of JohnsTarot. Today we're going to talk about the Chris Bledsoe story. I do post up, I'm going to touch just on politics just for a minute. If you really want a good politics site, Revealing Tarot, Revealing Light Tarot. She does really good psychic political readings. I think she's out of Australia, but she's on YouTube. You can find her, and I watch her. I like her because I like to read. She flips the cards. I like to read the cards and interpret them for myself and see how close I am to what she's saying. But she's very experienced, and she talks about politics much more than I talk about politics. But I did talk about it a little bit last week, and I have done readings on it. And this is pretty much, I talked about last week, this pretty much being the end of MAGA, being the end of the MAGA era, how the MAGA was more of a fad and a phenomena, and how it was being fed by the fear, and the fear of the pandemic. And now that fear has dried up, that was burning like I think I said it was burning like an out of control tire fire. But now that we've taken the fuel away, the fire will go out. So MAGA, I do believe that we're at the end of the MAGA era. The political parties are still at it pretty heavily. But I did have one thought, and that is, I do believe MAGA is on the way out, and that former President Trump will not be reelected. So what are we going to do with all those MAGA people? And, I was thinking about that we're going to have a country full of psychically injured MAGA people. Now, we are all responsible for the choices we make, for the things we choose to let into our field of attention, into our minds, who we are led by, who we focused on. And I imagine some people will come out of the cult and regroup their lives. Others will not. They're just permanently damaged. And society will continue to go on. And will those people come with us, the damaged people come with us? I don't know. Some will, some won't. It was their choice. And but I know one thing for sure. Though they've been damaged, they want to blame somebody. So that is my only thought on that. I try not to blame anybody for my circumstances. My circumstances are a result of my actions, a result of my karma, which I created with my own life. And I think it's that way for everybody, whether they choose to believe that or not. So today I'm going to do I read a little bit about Chris Bledsoe. Let me move over to this scene here. And Chris Bledsoe, he wrote a book. His book is called UFO of God. And Chris Bledsoe had, there he is, he had whether it's a UFO experience or an experience with an entity of Earth, or whether it's an entity of a higher nature. And I'll get into that a little bit. And he's had experiences where he's seen orbs. And let me get a little bit into the discussion on the Chris Bledsoe story. So he was born in North Carolina. Grew up in a poor but honest family, raised in a Pentecostal church, because that's who was available to him at the time. I don't think he was a big Pentecostal. He coming from a poor family, he was unable to really. He had to help his dad work. Had help to support the family at a young age, and he was unable to go to college. So he was disadvantaged from that standpoint. And he learned how to be a builder with his father. And he learned how to be actually quite a good builder, rather a successful builder. He's a smart man. He also took up a penchant for flying. He became a private pilot. And he enjoyed that for many years. His business eventually took off, and he was doing quite well, and to the point though where his business got bigger than his ability to manage it. Now, coming from that poor family, he was taught that you can do whatever you want to do as long as you were willing to do the hard work. He could have really used some education. His business got bigger than what he could handle, and it overwhelmed him, and he ended up losing the business, losing a lot of money after he was married and had a family. And he was really embarrassed by that failure, that loss of his business. And he had quite a successful business going on. And one day, as a result of the economy and his inability to manage, it went away. It dissipated, and he was almost destitute. And he had a family by this time. He had challenges in his life. At the age of 10, he was shot in a hunting accident, and then during his business, and he had a near-death experience, an NDE, during that period. And then when he was married, he had first marriage. His wife died in an accident, and he came upon her body there in an overturned car. Really tragic situation. And then he was injured, fell off a scaffolding on a building he was building, and he was wiped out from that. This guy has had hard times. Each time he had one of these life-changing events, an owl would appear, which is quite interesting. I think that'll come back into the story later. Anyway, so Chris, he has a small family, and he's destitute, and he doesn't know what to do, and he's at the end of his rope, and it's like 2007. And the economy is just getting ready to take another dive. And he's struggling to keep food on the table for his family. He decided to take a little fishing trip with some friends, with some buddies. I don't know if I have pictures of that. So while on this fishing trip, he took his son Chris with him as well. And he had a UFO experience. And I'm going to read directly from the book. So what happened was he's on this fishing trip, and he saw orbs. And he had a missing period of time. I think the missing period of time was like 4 hours, time he couldn't account for. He says, I was stunned. It took my breath away. I dropped to my knees in awe of what I was looking at. Not only was it strange that these sun-like objects did not light up the sun as suns would, but also they were close, barely farther than the far side of the field, 200 yards away. 2 flaming spheres hovering in the distance in perfect silence, each about 45 feet in diameter, as big as a house. So he started seeing these orbs, and he had this missing period of time. Also, during that period of time, he was missing for about 4 hours when he went and found his fishing buddies. Where you been, Chris? You've been missing a long time. And it turned out his son was also missing. And he went out, and his son had also had an encounter with these orbs. And his son's description, he lay stock still watching the lights approach him in the overgrowth. They stopped 15 feet away from him, hovering close to the ground, blocking his path to the fire. He described them as 2 little entities, glowing softly with red fiery eyes. I think I even have a picture of that. There's some orbs. There we go. The eyes were mechanical in nature, about 1.5 inches round, opening and closing like shutters, straight up and straight down. Little translucent beings walked around playing with stuff. They would pick up sticks and pieces of trash and look at them curiously, then throw them back on the ground. One of them was always watching him, guarding him, like they had a job to do. He couldn't scream, and he found that he was paralyzed, unable to yell or move. For 2 hours, my son lay in the brush with abject terror, trying to scream for help and trying to move back to the fire. So his son had also had a run-in with these orbs. When they finally rejoined the whole group of fishermen, the orbs would appear to the whole group. It scared the heck out of the other people in the group, and they tried to run away. They got in a car and drove, and at one point, one of the orbs actually blocked their path, so they couldn't get away. It stopped right in front of them. It was like a blazing, white, sparkling orb was shooting out rays of light, and it stopped them right there, and they couldn't get past. Scared the bejeebers out of all the fishermen. So he had other people witnessing this as well. And finally they got away, and they dropped off all the fishermen, and the other fishermen were just freaking out, crazy with fear. And he got home, and what the heck happened? He had when he got home, that's what Chris put his son to bed. I don't think there's anybody home. Put his son to bed, and he again. Chris was out by. They have a dog pen, a kennel, and he ran into the orbs were around his house, and he again ran into some of these entities. He didn't know what these things are. When he told the story to his wife, and his wife and his family, they looked at him like he was, what are you talking about? You're weird. I would like to have Chris Bledsoe and interview him and have him tell his story on my little podcast sometime. That would be great. But I know I'm not that big or important. He was ostracized by his church, the Pentecostal church. They just felt like he was in league with the devil when he shared his story with them, and they pretty much ostracized him, and he could no longer be part of that church community, and which he had very much had grown up with, and he was a deacon in the church, and he was very much involved with the church. And they were ostracized by the church. The family was ostracized by the community. People would look at them and they'd laugh and make fun of them. And I had an experience once, and I ran into something similar than Chris. I didn't see any orbs, but I did run into the woman, you might say. And I was told not to reveal my experience, because of the problems it would cause. Same kind of problems that Chris Bledsoe had. Well, time went on, and talk of his experience got out, and it got out to MUFON. He discovered MUFON, and he started talking to MUFON that they would send out some researchers that he could talk to. He was looking for some support, and he was in dire distress. So he was looking for some support from MUFON, and then MUFON had an opportunity to do some business with the Discovery Channel. So Chris agreed to tell a story to the Discovery Channel with MUFON, and what a bad experience that was. I mean, these people made promises to him that they would get some therapy for his children and his family, which they reneged on. During the filming, they came into his house and they all ate lunch. And then when Chris asked, well, where's the lunch for my family? They go, oh, it wasn't in the budget. What a bunch of rat bastards. I would never do business with MUFON or the Discovery Channel, I'll tell you. That is just my opinion. Anyway, MUFON and MUFON continued to try to contact him throughout the years. And it was just a bad experience dealing with those people. Anyway, poor Chris, he had two experiences. This went on for some time. You'd have to read the book. Had an experience with something he calls the lady. And the story was already interesting. But once he had an experience with the lady, you see, he was called out of his house, woke up in the middle of the night, like 3 a.m, arise, in a loud voice. He found himself fully dressed, left the house, and when he got outside the house, he was run over by a bull. You could see the bull right there. And but it wasn't a bull; it was just a light image. And then this woman appeared, apparently very similar to what I have in the picture here. She stood above the ground. She hovered above the ground, and she gave him a couple of predictions. One of the predictions was that there will be a 6.8 magnitude earthquake on September 23rd in Baja California, and in New York that fall elections would be interrupted. And he was also, I believe, at that time directed to tell his story. That a lot of this stuff had happened to him, and he was directed to tell the story. And that was his job, and he agreed to tell this story. Well, things just kept on getting bad for Chris. People just thought he was weird. His family was weird. He would tell them they would have orbs appearing around the house. They would have owls around the house, keeping the family up all night. And I'll come back to the owls. And finally, he had another appearance of the lady. And the lady told him that it was another situation. She appeared outside the house. He was drawn outside the house, and he was taken up into an orb and taken to a certain place where the lady existed. And she gave him this message. She said, when the red star of Regulus aligns just before dawn in the gaze of the Sphinx, a new knowledge shall come into the world. He was not sure what that meant. And since that time, he's come to understand that around Easter 2026 will be the end of the old way and the beginning of the new. And I saw him on YouTube, and that really has to do with, and there'll be an end of the masculine energy, and a female energy will supersede and take its place. Kind of sounds like the situation we find ourselves in right now, doesn't it? Politically, that we're going to have a female energy now take over, and that the male energy will go into the past. Because the male energy, whenever it feels challenged, it wants to fight, it starts wars. Whereas the female energy will be able to absorb that and lead us into a period of peace. Now that's his prediction. That's what he says. I have had a run-in, and the book goes on, I have had a run-in with this female energy. I call this female energy Sophia in terms of the Gnostic point of view on what they would call it, cosmology. This female energy, Sophia, has been around with humanity for a long time. I don't believe these were UFOs. I believe this was a manifestation of the Earth energy, Gaia Sophia. The ancient Greeks used to have this goddess called Athena. Athena was a representation of this goddess energy. And Athena had a big affiliation with owls. She liked owls because they were able to see in the dark. They were able to see through difficulties. They were harbingers of wisdom and insight. And that's why the owls kept on appearing in my opinion, why they kept on appearing in Chris Bledsoe's life. Kind of interesting. So Chris Bledsoe is kind of predicting the what's going to happen with our election in his book. His book is coming out as a movie. Apparently, they were able to sell it as a movie, and that will be coming out soon. And I'm going to go see it. I bought the book. The book was great. If you want to, if you got some time, enjoy a nice book. It's an easy read, and about his experiences in much more depth than I was able to come and do for you today. It's out there. I had it. Here it is. The UFO of God. Let me show you one other thing. I have some video of the orbs that Chris Bledsoe was seeing, and they're visiting his house on a regular basis.
There's two right there, yeah.
Here they are. I'm going to turn this down. All right, and I don't know if you could see them or not.
We're moving across the sky right now.
Yeah, everybody watch.
Coming, it's so bright.
There's one right there. The orb is moving across the screen. It's a white light, and it's moving across the sky. After his second visitation with the woman, she agreed to let the orbs be photographed. Prior to that, I was like, they refused to let the orbs be photographed. So there is a picture of one of the orbs, and you're going to see another one come into the picture here. And there's people in the background watching. I can't tell how am I doing on this.
It's disappearing, it's going away, it looks like.
And there's another orb
The higher one is going away.
that commonly appear for, there's the one right there moving across the sky. You see it up there.
Okay.
So,
There's two right there, yeah. There's two.
that is the Chris Bledsoe story, as best I can tell it. In a short time. I try to get in it in 15 minutes. Next week, I'm going to talk about I had it written down. I'll put it up on my page. But it's where the human mind and the mechanical mind, I call it the mechanical mind, where AI are going to come together. And I'll talk about that next week. And I'm going to be doing some research on that this week. So let me move over to my tarot page. Where we got? Here we go. There it is. My ability to read tarot is a gift, and it's an expression of divine love. And I'm here to share it with you in that same spirit. If you're out there, if you would like a personal reading, I do personal readings. Just type it into the chat window, and I'll be happy to do a reading for you. And I think I'm going to ask, about the Chris Bledsoe story. I think I'm going to ask, was the lady a manifestation of Gaia Sophia? Was the lady a manifestation of Gaia Sophia? I'll do it as a yes or no. Was the lady a manifestation of Gaia Sophia? I tend to do my readings here. I'm doing it with a 6 cards. I'm doing it with the manual deck. I also sometimes do it with the electronic deck. Let me know which ones you like better. So, swords and pentacles are no. Wands and cups are yes. Was the lady of Chris Bledsoe's a manifestation of Gaia Sophia? My first card is a no. Why am I using these cards? These are not good cards to use with this. These are the ones I use for myself. The first one is a 2 of swords. Second one is a 2 of wands. A yes and a no. My third card is a 10 of swords. And that's a no. Was the lady a manifestation of Gaia Sophia? King of Cups. Which is a yes. The Devil is a no. I think I'm 2 and 2. What's the last card? The Tower. I'll throw that one out too. I'll throw out all the major arcana. I'll throw in one more card. My tarot reading says, no, that was not a manifestation of Gaia Sophia, so it is something else. I can do a reading on anything you like. Since you're out there, let me know if you like a personal reading or if you want to question about anything you like. I started out the program talking about the end of MAGA. So, with three cards, if MAGA loses the election, if Mr. Trump loses the election, how should we consider our MAGA members? They were after all, they are fellow citizens, friends and neighbors. How should we consider our MAGA followers should Trump lose the election? I'll cut the deck. 3 cards. Kind of interested in this myself. First card is the Emperor. Second card is Strength. And the third card is the seven of Wands. Let's throw some runes on there and see what we get. I got a couple listeners, a couple watchers as we kind of come off and on. The thing they're going to do next week is called the Singularity, where human intelligence and AI combined, and they call it the Singularity. And we have a coming of the Singularity is on its way. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that next week. So, Odin, for you, please guide this reading. How should we consider our MAGA neighbors should Trump lose the election? Our first rune is Bertho. Second rune. I got a couple of days off this week. I got a couple of days off next week. So I'm enjoying the summer a little bit. My second rune is Langus. And my third rune is Isa. So it's going to be up to us. We're going to be the emperor. We're going to be in charge of our own emotions, our own way we're going to view these people. It's going to be up to us. It's not going to be up to them. We are going to be the decision makers, and the final outcome on how we treat our friends and neighbors, whether they chose to believe in that ideology or not. It's up to us, each individuals. We are emperors. We're the emperors of our own lives. We're the decision makers in our own lives, just as they were the decision makers in their own lives. And politics shouldn't have to work out this way. A different point of view should not have a different political point of view should not have to end up in violence. Should not, or being ostracized from society. There should be there should be some forgiveness coming from intelligent people. Put it that way. I don't know if there'd be any forgiveness coming from the other side should Mr. Trump win. I think would all be in big trouble. The rune is called Pertho, and that has to do with taking a chance. The gaming cup. We're going to take a chance on forgiveness. We're going to take a chance on understanding their situation. The second card is the strength card. So we need to be in control of our emotions. We need to be in control of our ego. We need to be in control. And the way to be in control of the negative parts of ourselves is to make friends with it. Also, that part of our society could be represented here, where she is. You have the goddess and you have the lion, and where the Democrats or the people involved with democracy need to make friends with that part of our society who is more reactionary. We'll put it that way. And we need to make friends with it in order to incorporate it into our society. And then we have the rune is Langus, which is a rune of tidal waves and waves and tides and currents. The waves roll in, the waves roll out. So that, we got to remember, just because probably Kamala Harris will win, the tide will roll out and there'll be an opportunity for another Republican to fill those seats. So we want to remember that. And as things roll in and things roll out, as the tensions are high and tensions will be low. And just kind of remember that and move on. But there's always going to be a competition between the 2 points of view, the conservative and what they call a progressive. I don't like the term radical liberal. That's kind of contentious. But there's always going to be a contention between the two. And we just need to travel this carefully. Ice, like you're traveling across a field of ice. So just move carefully. And that's what I got for you for today. So I think
it is a very, very complex thing to talk about. Now,
yeah, thank you very much. I thought you would agree with me. How do you feel about this?
Well, I'm very pessimistic.
That's good. Well, I'm going to wrap it up for today.
Goodbye, Professor Marvel, and thanks a lot.
Well, it was my pleasure. If you would like a specific topic for me to talk about, let me know. If you would like a specific, tell me what you like better, the tarot cards manual, or would you like the electronic tarot cards? The electronic tarot, I find they both work equally well. I just have different technical challenges with each one. Part of this is just enjoying the technology of it all. So for next week, I want you to be careful, be cool, be kind. Remember, have courage, find faith. And I'll see you all next week where we talk about the singularity. All right. You have a great week, and I hope to see you all then. All right. Bye-bye.